Join UF Hall of Famer and 14-year NFL vet Shane Matthews every weekday as he brings you all you need to know about your Florida Gators, including news, analysis, and opinions with some of the biggest names in sports. Find us on Spotify, Apple Podcast, Google Podcast, or wherever you listen to your favorite podcast. Or watch us live at 8 a.m. on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter.
Welcome to PodUp with Matthews in the Morning, coming to you from the International Diamond Center studios with locations across the state of Florida and right here in Celebration Point in the heart of Gator Nation. I'm your host, Loren Meadows, filling in for Shane Matthews today, host of The Lowdown with Loren Meadows. And today we'll be joined by Brent Beaird of First Coast News, a Heisman voter, as well as a podcaster that is bringing you great stuff with NCAA news as dog days continue. Football camps get into their second week. And later we'll be joined by Kevin Brockaway of the Gainesville Sun to give us some tidbits on the Gators, how camp is going, and what he feels about the Gators going on the road for their first conference game as defending national champions. Follow and like us on Facebook and YouTube and Twitter. You can listen to us on 37 digital platforms like Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google, iHeartRadio, and many more. And with that, we welcome Mr. Brent Beaird. How you doing, sir?
Well, good morning. Thank you for helping us this morning.
My pleasure.
As we get closer, it's kind of hard to believe, is it not, that we're into August, and look, we can't forget that we actually have and they'll get this figured out soon. When we call it week 0, which is actually the first week, then we have the actual week that happens after that. It's that wonderful Thursday through Monday that I wish we had every week, but we don't. So, but it's a good time of year as the teams get ready to play.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And you spoke about just some changes coming with the NCAA, the Board of Governors, and just, how this thing is shaping out and could affect the future of not only college football, but, college sports as a whole.
Yeah, the Division I Board of Governors has approved a new governance structure for Division I athletics. This came about on Tuesday, involves a significant change on how the committees are structured and shifts more decision-making power to the Power Four conferences, meaning the ACC, the Big Ten, the Big 12, and the SEC. It's set up, Lauren, to streamline operations and grant greater autonomy to the conference. And this is important. This gives the autonomous 4 conferences 65% of the voting power. So now it doesn't affect championship access or Division I finances. I could get into the weeds a lot here, but I won't. But safe to say that I think that's a positive thing. The Power Four conferences need to make their own decisions, frankly. I know the way it's set up now, they have more power, which they need, frankly. And the other thing that's going on, too, is there's going to be some changes to the transfer portal calendar. The way the thing's set up now, it's really just, well, I don't know if ridiculous is the word I want to use, but it's just not working real well. So the Oversight Committee is looking at, they've gotten some meetings scheduled for, they had one August 1, they've got one today, Lauren, by the way, and what they're trying to do, the NCAA House Implementation Committee, I don't want to get people lost in the weeds with all these committees.
Right.
But they've been working on the calendar recommendations recommended by the commissioners by the end of August. This is supposed to be done. The House Committee has discussed a one-time window, one time now, not two, just one, of either in January or April to decide what to do with this. So that's probably as far as I'll go with all of it. But we just need to be aware. There's some good things I believe that are going to be happening. Some of this stuff that is just too really ridiculous in a lot of ways. And one of the ways it needs to be dealt with is with this transfer window. We could live with one of them, couldn't we, Loren? Instead of two of them necessarily. So
Yeah, for sure.
Look, guys will still be able to transfer, but having it as a one-time window in either January or April will probably help us considerably.
Yeah, I mean, you look at the change in landscape, and I agree. I think if the transfer portal, I mean, I saw guys on his, I think, seventh school. I mean, you start to see those things, and not to mention you got a guy like Dan Mullen, who, as he looks to maybe continue or rebuild, depending on how you want to call it, at UNLV, has pretty much raided the transfer portal to assemble his team. One thing I wanted you to speak on, and we had the release of the SEC basketball schedule for the men yesterday. But you also, in your notes, mentioned that basketball could kind of change with the revenue for teams that go deeper into the tournament. Obviously, the Gators, I've seen as high as number 2 in their way too early preseason with what they have coming back and what they've been able to add. But speak to, just for the basketball, just a short moment, what that looks like for teams maybe under that proposal as well.
Yeah, and I give credit to Ross Dellinger here because Ross has covered this in some detail. One of the more interesting wrinkles that's on the agenda. Now, this is just proposal. This is not law yet. The introduction of a proposal to reward teams advancing to the semifinals and finals of the NCAA basketball tournament with revenue units. Under the current structure, unit distribution stops at the semis. For now, this is just a proposal, but something may come of this a little bit later on. So as you get into the, I guess, deeper in the tournament, shall we say, this is one thing that would help teams that are able to advance. So that has been a good thing. That there's still several things that are happening with basketball that we'll kind of wait on, I guess, to talk about at this point. But the good thing is that they are looking at basketball too. And look, the NCAA and all of its committees, they get a lot of criticism. Some of it's deserved, some of it's not. But at least, Loren, they are trying to do some things here to help the game, and I give them credit for that.
Yeah, no doubt. I want to thank the head ball coach, Steve Spurrier, for the new opening. Our first Facebook question live comes to you from Meldon Law, the only official injury and accident law firm partner of the Florida Gators. And we'll get to the coaches poll. But Mr. Beaird, I guess the Gators suffered maybe a little setback, and I'm not sure how much you know about it, with star Dallas Wilson, or future star, at the receiver position. Have you heard anything for our listeners about that injury and how severe it may be going on, how severe it could be?
Now, the thing that I saw just a few minutes ago, and again, this is on Twitter, but that he is, yes, here it is. Dallas Wilson is out for a lower leg injury. Sources say he's out for a couple of weeks. So I guess we'll wait and see where that's going. But the thing you don't want to see is, and unfortunately, it seems like it's been this way, particularly the Gator skill position players have had their share of injuries, to say the least. Now, I give credit here to, now some of this is from Gator Country, that he suffered a lower leg injury, out for a couple of weeks. Obviously caught 10 passes for 195 in the spring game. So that's kind of been the problem I had to Lord. Is just and again, this what you get. I mean, you've got to practice. You've got to be tough with some of your practices. But hopefully he will be back sooner than later. And they've had multiple injuries, some more severe than others. But I know they've got, and you can help me on this too, that Travion Webb is probably the one that's going to be out longer than others. Repair of a hamstring injury to his right leg.
Yes, sir.
Is one of the reality. Now you've got so Dallas Wilson, Eugene Wilson. People kind of been in a stupor for a while. They realized, hey, the Gators have two Wilsons at wide receiver. But the reality is, I haven't seen anything that would take a guy out for the season. But there certainly is concern about some of these guys getting banged up, with this, and hopefully they will be back as soon as possible.
Yes, and our guest Brent Beaird is brought to you by Comfort Temp Heating and Air. It's your local #1 HVAC company. Professional experienced technicians keep you informed throughout the entire project. Visit us at comforttemp.com. Comfort Temp Heating and Air. Comfort is our business. Peace of mind is our promise. Just to touch on the injuries to the skill guys, I think you could look at it as one of two ways, and maybe Coach Napier will answer some of that later in the week, I think, when he goes in front of the media. But there's two ways to look at it, and I think you would agree, is one, yes, there could be some guys banged up, but it's early in practice, and if they had to go in a game, I would guess that 70% of them may be able to go in a game. I think when you look at guys like Jaden Ba, Trey Wilson, who's been mentioned, and a couple others, you already kind of know what you have.
Yes.
So why force the issue from a football X and O's planning standpoint? Let them rest. Let them get their feet up under them. If they do have a little, what I call a little hitch in the chassis, then you can rest them and go from there. So that's kind of where I kind of look at, when you look at the team as a whole, it's still early. I don't think they still have another scrimmage, I think on August the 16th. So you got some time there, but it does kind of play into question. I saw the Gators were 17th in the coaches poll. Did anything stand out to you there with the coaches poll?
Well, and again, we need to keep in mind the coaches poll came out this week. Now the AP poll is coming out next Monday, so I don't think there will be any. It could be tremendous differences between the two. Now, what is interesting in the coaches poll is Texas and Ohio State are 1 and 2. Now they play each other.
Yep, get it knocking right away. Yeah.
Oh yeah, at the beginning of the year, you've also got LSU and Clemson play at the beginning of the year. Clemson is 6, LSU is 9, Miami is number 10, South Carolina is 13, Ole Miss is 15, Florida is 17, as Loren mentioned, Tennessee is 18. And again, Texas, Ohio State, Penn State, Georgia, and Notre Dame are your top 5. So it's always interesting to look at the polls. And again, the AP will be released at noon next Monday.
Yeah, that's so. And when you talk about, just where the teams are, is there a team that stands out in the SEC to you that, if you just look at the way the coaches vote, and I know there's only a certain number of coaches throughout the country that vote on these, is there one of the SEC teams that maybe was, You know, you look at Vanderbilt with the year they had was, I think, number 50, so to speak.
Yeah.
You had
Yeah.
Auburn at 32. They have some decent skill guys. Anybody that stands out that may be looking to maybe have a drop based on where they were rated, or someone who could elevate based on the performance and the schedule that they have this year?
Well, Oklahoma is at 26, and this is a crucial year, right, Lauren, for Oklahoma and that coaching staff. Now, now obviously, they've made a lot of changes themselves, which is going to be fascinating. They could have a top 20 scoring defense. This is amazing. For the first time since 2009. Now that's incredible, isn't it? But now again, they've got a really good coach in Brent Venables,
Hmm.
who is under a lot of pressure, to say the least. Jay Nod is their running back. He is transferred from Cal. People may remember that name. He is an excellent running back. Oklahoma's got 4 of their top 5 returning on the offensive line. So, without getting into too great a detail, I think Oklahoma may be one of those teams, Lauren, that would be good enough to not only get in like at 26, but if they have a run, especially with their new quarterback, John Mateer, that's there, they could easily be better than what they're looking at right now at number 26. Now, Missouri's 27, as Lauren said. Auburn is 32. They could be a lot better than what they're looking at. Also, Arkansas is 43, and Vanderbilt is 50. My stars, you would think, with what Vandy's got coming back, particularly at the quarterback position again, that they will be ranked a little higher. But again, the reason we have these preseason polls is to get in these discussions like you and I
Yeah, give us
are
something to
doing
talk
right now.
about.
So that I'm glad we've got preseason polls. Okay.
Right, no doubt. Yeah, I we got a YouTube question coming to you. Let's see who that was, talking about Brent English, coming to you. YouTube question brought to you by Quality Plumbing, residential and commercial plumbing services and emergency repairs since 1984. Our name says it all. Brent Beaird is brought to you by Comfort Temp Heating and Air. Brent English asked, can we discuss the defense a little bit at Florida as we kind of come back to Florida? It looks like they finally have an SEC defense. We saw the defense take a big step once they kind of settled things. I think dialed into who was the primary play caller for the Gators on defense. And then you really saw those sack numbers go up when Gerald Chapman really started to engage that defensive line to get them going. Is this the best defense the Gators have had in under Billy Napier?
Yeah, I think it is. I mean, the front guys, Tyreek Sapp, Caleb Banks, and then you've got one of the guys I'm really eager to see is Pup Howard, the South Carolina transfer at linebacker. At star, you've got Sharif Denson, you've got Devin Moore in the secondary, Bryce Thornton. You've got Jordan Castile. Look, that's a pretty good group in it, Lauren.
Yes,
I
sir.
mean, this group's been around for a while,
Mm-hmm.
and now also George Gums. He's a transfer at 5 sacks, sorted 3 games too. So no, I would agree. I think you could be excited if you're a Gator fan about this defense and where they're going.
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, I mean, you look at there's a lot of snaps there, a lot of confidence. You saw them make some big boy plays against some big time players. You talk about guys
Yes.
like Garrett Nussmeier last year, Jackson Dart, and then filtering into the Florida State game and then into the bowl game. You saw a defense. I always say good defenses play with some bounce. And what I mean is when that crowd's rocking, and it's third and long, and you see them jumping up and down, and they got that bounce. You started to see a defense that had that bounce. A guy like Caleb Banks. Um, do you really think? I mean, you look at this. He's a guy that kind of came back, probably could have been a mid-round pick, and now could be somebody that could play itself into the first round. What do you like about Banks at that defensive front and in the last half of the season? What was he able to show, in your opinion, that makes him one of those high caliber guys in the SEC?
Well, when you're projected to be a first round pick, possible. I mean, I think the consistency in him was impressive. And look, this may be, frankly, when you look at South, you've also got, and I may mispronounce it, but Burrow at linebacker, and then Banks. Your edge is Gum. I
Hmm.
mean, that's a pretty good group, isn't it,
Yeah,
Lauren? Frankly,
great group of athletes, very versatile guys that can drop in pass coverage. And I think they understand what the staff is trying to get done now. You talk about the
yes.
creeper and you talk about disguising and doing things like that. We had a question. I'm glad it's here still. The Facebook question brought to you by Meldon Law, the only official injury and accident law firm partner of the Florida Gators. Andy McIntosh asked, Brent, are you familiar with the new integrity and efficiency rules the SEC is initiating, and do they apply to only conference games? And I think that answer may answer a couple of the other questions we've had in regards to injury disclosing and things as well.
Yeah, I think you've got to do it by, what is it, Lauren? By Wednesday of the week.
Yeah.
And I believe that's what it's going to be. Well, I think what this is, and chime in on this too, is they're, look, coaches are, I mean, they just play by they're playing by the rules, and playing by the rules. What we had before is there's a lot they didn't have to disclose. We're almost getting toward the NFL model, aren't we,
Yeah.
Lauren? That we're you've really got to have your injuries listed sooner than later. Now, look, there's still going to be some of this that is going to be hidden. That's just the way the game is played, and that's just the strategy that goes along with it. But I mean, I think it probably will be a good thing to make it known, and because frankly, the teams have got to have they've got to have their decisions made on this. Who's going to play? Who's not going to play? Etc. By certainly by the midweek point. So I mean, we'll see where this goes, and if and how they have to tweak it. But I mean, I could see some positive things come out of it.
Yeah, and we had a another question. Can't remember who asked on the YouTube quality plumbing question. They were asking about why they only say lower leg injury instead of or upper body injury. And I think it's two things. One, you and I both know it's got to deal with a little thing called money
Yep.
and a place out in the desert that a lot of people like to go hang out. And
Yep.
and then
Yep.
but also I think there's some HIPAA the
Yep.
business I'm in on the side, well, I wouldn't say side, but the other business I do
Yes.
is that HIPAA component is very important as well.
It
And that's
is. Yep.
why when you go through, you talk about you go on a tour and they take you through the training room, they tell you, kind of close your eyes because all those things, even though it's a training room, it still kind of follows the rules of other healthcare facilities. So I think all of that, when you talk about the integrity and efficiency, and it's all kind of molded into the sports gambling model, the HIPAA model, but just trying to be, like you said, I think as we build with NIL and revenue sharing, you're going to see a lot of that NFL model as well. So I think
Yeah.
that's a great point. Whip us around the SEC a little bit, and just LSU's the hot topic right now with Garrett Nussmeier. You got Alabama who's killing it on the recruiting trail. I think they are up to maybe 7 5-stars signed. Just whip us around who, as we got a couple more minutes before we head to
Sure.
commercial. in the SEC, just as this thing continues to grow and as we get closer to the first weekend of the season?
Yeah, I would be glad to do that. Alabama has their first in-stadium scrimmage Saturday morning. Ty Simpson's probably going to be your quarterback, but Austin Mack and Keelan Russell are involved too. Caden Proctor, by the way, this sounds like you're my numbers here, Lauren. Caden has squatted 815 pounds, bench 535, and power clean 405. That's one of the Alabama. He's their left tackle. That amazing too. Lonzier Brooks, who is a wide receiver in Alabama, seen in a non-contact jersey, in a boot. It's nothing long term, so I think that they will be okay there. At Auburn, they are very excited about their wide receivers. Eric Singleton, who is a Georgia Tech transfer, is doing well. Sophomore Cam Coleman, who is really one of the sensations for the league last year as a freshman, really is high on him too. It's going to be really, I think, interesting how Jackson Arnold does at Auburn. So far, he's been getting some rave reviews from the coaches. Also, at just skipping around to a few, and we're talking about Georgia a little bit. What's been going on there? Noah Thomas, Zachariah Branch, a couple wide receivers have validated some of the hype that's going on with them. They've got some other guys. Their outside linebacker, Elo Madozia, and I'm probably mispronouncing that. He has gone from Army to Georgia, but he's kind of catching on. That it's going to take some time along with that. By the way, this is Kirby Smart's 10th fall camp. Can you believe that?
Wow, the time flies.
Yeah, that Kirby has been there for 10 years. But look, this is going to be another very good Georgia team. They've also got, I won't go into a whole lot of detail here, but they've got a local kid from Athens, a defensive lineman, Anthony Lonon, Lonon. He is Georgia's 31st commitment, 31, Lauren, for the 26 class. That's amazing. Think about that. You mentioned Georgia LSU a minute ago. Some of the little scuttlebutt from going on. Caden Durham, they think could be an all-SEC running back. May go over 1,000 yards. Again, it's fall camp. People are excited. I get it. Hara Perkins, the defensive star for LSU, has been hurt the last couple of years. He is healthy. If they find a position for him, that I think is going to be very important. Also, but LSU now looked at, and also defensively, defensive end Patrick Payton and Jemariah Butler are earning some first-team reps. I know a lot of these are just names to people right now, and they don't mean much, but they will as the season goes along.
Well, week 3, they'll know if they're Florida fans.
Yeah, I guarantee
going into that buzzsaw. Yes, sir.
Oh, yeah. Yes. And we talked about Oklahoma a few minutes ago. Ole Miss is having a good fall practice so far. Centurion Perkins, and a lot of these guys are defensive guys. Now, Ole Miss lost 10 of their top 12 defensive players a year ago, but they've done a really good job in replacing some of those guys. Prince Well-U, who Gator fans are aware of, Deshaun Womack, a couple of the guys they're depending on. The secondary for Ole Miss is going to be pretty new all the way around. South Carolina is also, I think they're doing okay. Also, Sellers is a quarterback, and he is doing fine too. They're actually doing some improvements to Williams-Brice. People may not be aware of that, Lauren, but as soon as the 2025 season is done, they're going to be working on the stadium. which would be interesting too. So, but I know we're running out of time here, and I could go on forever. But those are some of the highlights. A&M's doing well in practice. KC Concepcion coming over from NC State has been a real plus for them, and wide receiver also. So but I just wanted to hit some of the highlights of some of the SEC teams for folks.
No, I appreciate it. The Pouncey twins, Mike and Marquise, invite you to try the lychee and mango martinis at Spurrier's Gridiron Grill, handcrafted with their JF Hayden liqueurs. Try those flavors or find your favorite at shopjfhaydens.com. We appreciate you joining us, Mr. Brent Beaird. Appreciate you coming on today. Where can folks read you, and where can they find you on the different social platforms?
Yeah, at Brent Beaird on Twitter. Certainly can post questions there. First Coast News here in Jacksonville, and also Second Helping is a podcast I do with Travis Ryer. Lauren, thanks for helping us.
Yes, sir.
As always, and always enjoy being with you, okay?
All right, then we'll be back with Kevin Brockaway of the Gainesville Sun. He's Brent Beaird of First Coast News, and we'll be back in a moment.
Our premium sponsors are Campus USA Credit Union,
International Diamond Center,
Meldon Law, QC Kinetics, UF Health Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute, JF Hayden Craft Liqueurs, Florida Cracker Kitchen, Los Linderos Tequila. Gridiron sponsors are Baker Sporting Goods, Comfort Temp, Electronics World, Florida Victorious, Gallo Car Wash, Miapa Latin Cafe, Peachland Dental, Quality Plumbing, Ruse Ogre State Farm, Silverback Concrete, 84 Lumber, Big Mills Cheesesteak, Celebrate Primary Care, Dowling Signs, Gator Bait Media, Gator Dominoes, Ironwood Golf Course, Tropical Smoothie Cafe, UF Bookstores, Nest and Wow, MG&A Wealth Management. Watch and listen to us live on Facebook and YouTube. Listen to the podcast whenever on Apple or Google Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen to your favorite podcast. Remember to like, follow, and subscribe so you don't miss an episode. To become a sponsor, call my man Freddie at 352-284-3733.
I'm tired of you living in pain, and I want you to get real lasting relief from chronic pain in your knees, back, shoulders, and hips. QC Kinetics can get you moving again with cutting-edge regenerative treatments with no drugs, no downtime, and no surgery. Stop putting it off. Call now and schedule your free consultation. Call QC Kinetics now in Gainesville, Ocala, and the Villages. 352-400-4550. 352-400-4550.
Hi there, this is Coach Steve Spurrier, and I want to let you know that by popular demand, Spurrier's Gridiron Grill's delicious brunch is now served in a premium buffet. You have spoken, we have listened, and we're now serving Gainesville's only elevated buffet, complete with an omelet station, ginger sage chicken sausage, shredded short rib, and of course our chicken and waffles. Plus, you can enjoy bottomless, mimosas, and Bloody Marys. So join us every Saturday and Sunday from 11 to 3 for the best brunch in town.
And we're back with PodUp with Matthews in the morning, joined by Kevin Brockaway of the Gainesville Sun. He's going to bring us a lot of different tidbits, basketball writer, football writer, sports guy extraordinaire. How you doing, Kevin?
I'm doing good, Lauren. Hey, it's great to be on with you. I know we've been trying to arrange this for a while. So
oh, yeah.
Pretty well.
And I'm going to get you on my show, too, as well. We go definitely do that. But, Kevin is brought to you by Comfort Temp Heating and Air. Comfort Temp Heating and Air is your #1 local HVAC company. Comfort is our business. Peace of mind is our promise. Kevin, I got a bone to pick right away.
Okay.
I'm going in. How do the defending national champions go on the road for their first SEC game? I mean, you would think that they keep them at home, kind of have some fanfare, but instead they got to travel to Columbia, Missouri in January, where it's probably going to be snow on the ground, windy, nasty, even though they play inside. But just speak to the SEC schedule release and with this team that the Gators have in basketball, and we'll obviously get to some football here soon, just what that means for the Gators.
Well, I can tell you, I've done plenty of time in Columbia, Missouri, and there's not much there besides Shakespeare's Pizza. But if you look at the schedule, I think the good news is you do have a lot of home marquee matchups. And if you think about it, January 3rd is a weekend where the students aren't back yet. So maybe this works to Florida's advantage because the following week you have the game on the 10th against Tennessee. You've got Kentucky at home on Valentine's Day, which is a Saturday. That's going to be interesting because of obviously the Denzel Aberdeen storyline is pretty interesting. And it'll be interesting to see if he gets any kind of love there or what kind of love he gets in that game. You got Alabama at home. You got Auburn at home. You got a lot of marquee games at home on weekend days, which I think is going to bode really well in terms of crowds and schedules and so forth. So I think it works out. They close at Rupp with Kentucky too. You would have liked to have the senior day on the weekend as well. But all in all, listen, I think Florida goes into the season as the SEC favorite. I don't think there's any doubt about that. Auburn lost a lot. They're the defending champions, but they lost 9 players. So I think Florida, this is their year to win the SEC title and maybe win another national title as well.
And we've got a Facebook question brought to you by Meldon Law. Andy McIntosh asked Kevin, will the Gators raise the championship banner versus North Florida in game 1, or will they do it the FSU game?
No, I'm hearing it's going to be UNF, yeah. And I'm hearing it's going to be, obviously, because of the fact that, it's the first home game, and that's kind of the tradition there. I think I asked Todd about that. I said, are you guys gunning for UNF? And he said at that point he thought that's where they were going.
Okay. Gallo Car Wash, locally owned by UF alum and the only car wash that provides NIL opportunities to Gators athletes. Locations on Northwest 13th Street, Williston Road, and coming soon in Jonesville. Gallo Car Wash. So, speaking of football, we've got some injuries. The big one yesterday, Dallas Wilson in a hard cast. Reports from yourself and others said it's just a 2-week injury. What are you hearing about Dallas Wilson first, and then these other little injuries, guys like Trey Wilson, Jaden Baugh, and others? I think we kind of knew about Khalil Jackson, Trayon Webb, but Dallas Wilson in particular, what are you hearing about that injury?
Yeah, well, I think Loren, obviously, I think there's a good chance he'll be back for Long Island, but if not, at least you have a little wiggle room there. But a 2 to 3 week thing, I think, basically with Dallas, and obviously the leg, and I think you got to be a little concerned with him and with Mizell being out and with Trey Wilson being out. Kind of establishing chemistry with DJ Lagway. First, it was DJ that couldn't throw in the spring, and then he was throwing in OTAs, and you'd like to see that all click. But I think it opens up some opportunities. Tank Hawkins has had a really good camp, obviously, and he's a guy that is going to get more reps. And I really like what I'm seeing from J. Michael Sturdivant too. I think this kid is this guy is big and fast and really has a chance to make an impact. But disappointing for Dallas because of the fact that you see him and he's really on the come, and you hope this isn't a setback in his development as well.
Yeah, I think that with DJ missing the spring, I think it just puts this. If you were to say, okay, and I'm gonna let you put your Billy Napier hat on a little bit. If you're never going to say, okay, we're concerned or whatever, but let's say Billy Napier comes and says, hey, we got a ton of depth, the quarterback's back, but with Lagway being out the spring, some of the injuries now, if you were, what would you maybe preach as far as the patience or just everybody relax? What is he hanging his hat on? Is it the running game? Is it the strength at O-line? That he could say, okay, we could just kind of get this thing going and then get everybody healthy when the time is right.
Yeah, I think definitely the run game with Jacoby Jackson and Jaden Baugh, who have been healthy. And these are two guys that are proven last year and on the come. Jaden Baugh, right, strongest guy on the team. He has all the physical measurables. Jacoby Jackson, who I wrote about this week. The intangibles there in terms of his story and how he rose up from basically a no-star guy from a, small community college in Mississippi to being a guy that was tied for the lead in touchdowns last year with 7 and was a big contributor on the SEC stage last year. So I think you feel good about that. You feel good about the offensive line, and you feel good about playing what Billy Napier calls complementary football, right? But it'll be interesting because if this offense sputters in September, it makes for a convenient excuse, right? You could say, oh, well, Lagway was out a certain amount of time, or the receivers and so forth and everything. So I think this is a big challenge for Billy and the offensive staff to adjust. And then when everyone gets back healthy, to kind of, ramp things up kind of quickly to get ready for that stretch at the end of the month when you're at LSU and at Miami.
No doubt. Ruse Ogre State Farm office, excuse me, is a team of dedicated insurance professionals ready to help life go right with the right insurance options for you and your family. Visit ogreinsurance.com or call us at 352-240-1779. And Toby Permeter, brought to you by on the Facebook Live question, brought to you by Meldon Law, ask, how's Vernell Brown III been looking in fall camp from what you've heard?
He's been looking okay, and he's been contributing on special teams too in the return capacity. And I think that's where he can kind of create a niche. But he's another guy too. Nashawn Montgomery, Muiz Tanaka is another guy too, right there. Another freshman receiver that showed a little bit. So there is some depth there. There's some young guys. TJ Abrams is getting more of a look as well, sophomore from the Fort Myers area. So I think you're going to see, some different guys contribute maybe early in the season, and then it evolved to the kind of the bigger guys when you get into the SEC schedule.
Yeah, no doubt. The defense, obviously a lot has been made about the defensive highs and lows, but what is it that, obviously there's personnel, but what is it about the connection that this defensive staff is starting to build? Had some additions on the coaching staff, had some guys leave, some new additions on the defensive coaching staff, but where this defense is with the young linebackers, the secondary seems to be rounding into form and health. What has been the secret sauce for this defense, kind of that last month of the season through the spring, and now as they gain momentum headed into the season?
Well, I think, Lauren, it looks to me early in camp like the defense is a little ahead of the offense, the way they're performing. And you're hearing a lot of things like, yesterday you heard Ben Hanks Jr., the freshman, had a really good practice. DeForest Brown. There are some young guys that are kind of emerging from a depth standpoint. But I think it starts with, Tyreek Sapp and Caleb Banks, 2 preseason All-SEC guys in the front 7. And then, Miles Graham, another guy who's kind of on the come. And, Pup Howard, it's been kind of disappointing that, this injury has lingered, this ankle injury. But I think it's opened up opportunities for him and Aaron Childs and Jaden Robinson as well in that front 7. So, and you mentioned the secondary, you've got Bryce Thornton and Jordan Castell back as 2 year starters. They've got a little chemistry back there. Sharif Denson, Aaron Gates coming back from the, ACL as quickly as he has too. He's going to be a big piece back there as well at the star position. And you put him at corner. And of course, Devin Moore, who returns as your lead cover corner. So it's going to be interesting to see how that develops. But I think the defense, if you're looking for a positive early in camp, the defense looks like it picked up where it left off at the end of last season.
Okay, and Ted Lieber on the Facebook question, brought to you by Meldon Law, asks how any word on LJ McCray? He's a guy that came in with a lot of fanfare, legacy player, somebody who definitely looks the part. Is he somebody that should take the next step?
You would hope so. He made some really nice gains in the weight room. But, the guy that we're hearing about a lot is Jaden Woods, the true freshman, edge rusher as well. Another guy that I think that is, has got a lot of physical tools and is making plays in practice. So you've got him, you've got LJ, you've got George Gums, obviously the veteran coming back, who had 5 sacks. I think with those 3 guys, you're really good at that kind of jack edge position.
No doubt. So, you look at the team and how they're being built on offense, defense. And then, we saw some of the numbers come out from the strength and conditioning, things like that. Are the injuries concerning from the standpoint of maybe what's going on in the weight room and things like that? We heard about the gains that were made, the body fat, guys like Cormani McLean, Jaden Baugh, different people. They talked about Austin Barber really growing into things. Is it a indictment on the strength and conditioning program, or is it just a situation where it's SEC football? I always tell people you don't get to play big boy football, then get mad when big boy football comes to bite you. Is this something that just is part of, getting ready for the rigors of the dog days and how things go?
Well, it depends on the nature of the injuries. You say DJ Wilson, for example, is in a cast, or Dallas Wilson, excuse me, is in a cast. I think, if you're talking about soft tissue injuries or pulls, I mean, then you would question, I think, the, stretching or so forth and things of that nature. But if you're talking about, something that's, banged up or broken, I mean, that's just the nature of contact. And then you look at maybe, how hard are they practicing? Is that the aspect of it too? Like how much contact are you going with? But I think all in all, a lot of it is bad luck. I mean, it's just one of those situations. And football's, Lauren, as you know, it's a contact game. Things are going to happen. You want to ramp up and you want to get ready for the grind of a season. And sometimes these things are going to occur and you just got to navigate through them. That's why you have to build a roster with enough depth to withstand it. And certainly, Billy Napier, you look back 2 years ago on the roster of injuries they had, he didn't have the roster to withstand it. I think he feels better this year with this kind of roster that he has compared to one a year or 2 years ago.
Well, sounds good. Yeah, I think that, when you look at the schedule and you just look at the way things are shaping up, I mean, I think this is by far the best roster that they've had. They do have depth. I think they showed that later in the season that guys, some of the injuries in the secondary and things like that, they were able to withstand that, beat some teams and go about their business. So yeah, I think that this is, one of those situations where if they can stay healthy and just keep the main core intact, I think they do have the depth to withstand it. The coaches poll came out, quite a few teams in the SEC, but when you look at this schedule, road games at LSU, Miami, you look at, playing obviously Georgia in the cocktail party, Texas A&M back to back, and then late games against Tennessee and Florida State. If you had to say, if I said, okay, give me some penultimate moments where we could really find out what this team is made, if you've picked it, like you put it into quarters, where are the three moments that we could maybe look back and say, this is what made this football team, or this is what maybe broke it? What games stand out to you? Obviously going to LSU at night, but that may not be the time where you're like, for us last season, I think all of us kind of started to see everything shift right there at that bye week before UCF. What is going to be that moment this year? Give me maybe some 2 to 3, penultimate moments that could be, okay, this is where we really saw the change, and this is what made this team a playoff team, or which made this team a 6-7 ball club or 7-6 ball club.
Yeah, I think that September bye week, or you can maybe say that last game in September at Miami, depending on how they respond to the LSU game, win or loss. I think that's one moment for sure. And then, obviously you come home and you face Texas, and that's a huge game. And then, obviously Georgia. I mean, Georgia's always big for momentum, and if you could somehow beat them, I think that sets you confidence-wise. That's going to set you up really well, because that's kind of like a getting over the hump moment. If you can beat the Bulldogs in Jacksonville, it's only happened once in the last 8 or 9 years.
Yeah.
So I think that's obviously huge, and then I think that last road game at Ole Miss too is going to be very critical going into Tennessee week, which is kind of late. So I think those are like three areas that you can see of the schedule where you're going to see what this team is made of, and if this team is kind of a contender or pretender when it comes to the CFP chances, and if they can make progress from last year, which was 8 wins including a bowl game. I think Gator fans would be happy to see maybe 8 or 9 regular season wins this year. We'll see how that pans out.
Yeah, and I think, and we could talk about that in a minute, I think 9 the right 9 could even see them maybe slide in with that schedule to the back end of the playoff. Florida Victorious, proud NIL partner of the Florida Gators, joined today to help make Florida victorious. We got a question on the YouTube question brought to you by Quality Plumbing. Quality Plumbing, residential and commercial plumbing services and emergency repair since 1984. Our name says it all. Franklin Hall asked, he's heard that Warner is actually getting the most second team snaps. I think when you look at a guy like Lagway, some of the little nicks and injuries, if he were to miss a game, who do we hear is getting the headset helmet if they run out right now?
Yeah, I would definitely say Aiden Werner over Harrison Bailey at this point. I just think they trust Werner more. He's been in the system longer, and I think it kind of shows on the field in terms of his decision making. And he's made some throws too. I think throughout camp. He's a guy that is kind of got some sneaky arm strength. He's got a little mobility to him as well. We saw that last year with the rushing touchdown. And I think even though he struggled in that Texas game and maybe at the end of that Georgia game a little bit, I think he showed a certain kind of resolve and toughness through that they like. I think with Harrison Bailey, obviously he has, more of the D1 experience. And I think he's got some pretty good arm strength, but I think they question his decision-making a little bit, and they probably trust Aiden more in that regard. But I think that, if it's a situation where they're in mop-up duty, I think that, you could see both of them play in a late game situation.
So I'm going to play devil's advocate here a little bit. The one thing what is going to make, that concern me is Aiden Warner, he just wouldn't pull the trigger. Have you seen maybe a raise in confidence? Have you noticed that where he looks like somebody that, hey, now if I got to go in a game against Georgia or the Miami game or even at night at LSU that, he can at least pull the trigger and make that 1 to 2 throws that may be needed to allow the Gators to hold a lead or at least get into field goal position to win a game. Have you seen those improvements out of Warner?
Well, Lauren, I think that comes with just being more comfortable with the offense, and he looks like a more confident guy within the offense. And I think you saw that a little bit in the spring game too, in terms of, his ability to, process things and make the right throws that you're going to need to make in those situations.
Well, sounds good. Sounds good. All right. Peachland Dentistry is the Gator Nation's #1 choice for dentistry in Port Charlotte and surrounding areas. Now it's time for the Peachland Dentistry. JC and the QP, we won't have the picks this weekend, but we wanted to get Peachland Dental in for sure. So today, Kevin,
what do we have to pick this weekend? Right?
We don't have much to pick, but the media gets a little look at practice today. So tell the folks what you'll be writing about, what you're looking for today in practice. During the time period that you're able to observe practice, what are you going to look for, and then what can they read and where can they read you?
Yeah, Lauren, I think we're going to obviously be looking for, Dallas Wilson, if he's rehabbing anywhere, what kind of, is he wearing some kind of black jersey? And looking for DJ Lagway's continued, throwing and development. Now, he threw a really nice, 40-yard pass to Sturdivant the other day. So how he's throwing the football, how the receivers are kind of in sync with him, I'm curious about. Some of the defense too, looking at some of the defensive stations. So we will have a takeaways from practice. Also going to do a little thing on camp risers. Some guys, maybe that I mentioned earlier, Ben Hanks, Dvorak, guys that have really made an impression. Some unexpected guys from the first week of camp as well.
All right, he's
and
Kevin
you can see it on Gatorsports.com, Gainesville.com. I'm sorry.
All right, no, definitely got to get you in. Appreciate you joining us, Kevin. Definitely. Always good to see you, and I'll see you in a few minutes, definitely at practice. And now it's time for This Day in Sports, brought to you by Campus USA Credit Union, putting star power to work in your financial life for over 90 years, Campus USA Credit Union. On this day in 1991, you might remember this, Kevin.
Okay.
American Carl Lewis, Mike Marsh, Auburn track coach Leroy Burrell and Dennis Mitchell set a 4x100 relay world record of 37.67 seconds in Zurich, Switzerland on this day in 1991. So we just had the national track and field meet. They're headed to Worlds in Tokyo in a few weeks. So that's your Campus USA This Day in Sports. And appreciate you guys joining us. Kevin Brockaway, Brent Beaird of First Coast News. I was your guest host, Loren Meadows of GatorBaitMedia.com, as well as The Lowdown with Loren Meadows. Check me out every Tuesday night at 9 p.m. on YouTube. Join us on this edition of PodUp with Matthews in the morning. Have a good day.